Did I plan on recording with this deck today? No. Did I wait for 15 minutes trying to queue for a CEDH league, give up, and then start recording with this deck? I'll let you guess. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and James has submitted sort of an interesting deck list today. It's a RUG Stiflenought deck list. The core concept is pretty easy. Cheat Phyrexian Dreadnought into play. Most commonly, this is going to be done by casting a Dress Down at our opponent's end step, making Phyrexian Dreadnought temporarily lose its abilities. This allows us to stop its Enter the Battlefield trigger from happening, and on the following turn, we'll start attacking with a 12-12. This same thing can also be accomplished via a Stifle, as we can just stifle the ability. But there's also another thing that we can do. We can just go ahead and Urza Saga it into play. So when stage 3 goes off, we can maybe float some mana, use that mana to cast a Dress Down. We'll need another blue mana still, but, cast that Dress Down and then tutor out our Dreadnought or stifle the Dreadnought trigger still. We have Lava Spur Boots, a fan favorite card here to give our 12/12s haste. And the remainder of this shell is sort of like a soft control deck. I'm not sure that I like some of the numbers that are here. I did sort of a slight tune-up of some things here and there, but I kept this core alive. 4 Uro feels like a lot of Uro to me. I'm unsure how I feel about Cryptic Coat. I really have enjoyed this card in some of the Stoneblade shells, and maybe when paired with Uro and it just gives us a bunch of mana, this recycling Cryptic Coat is pretty cool. And if we do happen to cloak a Phyrexian Dreadnought, we can turn it face up at any time for its mana cost, so that can be a way to get a very large unblockable Phyrexian Dreadnought into play for cheap. But in order for that to happen, we probably need to set it up with a cantrip first. I guess going into the league, I'm wondering if all of this stuff right here just ends up being too much fat. If we should just be playing some tempo-oriented creatures, your Delver of Secrets, maybe we go a little more into the red side of things for Dragon's Rage Channeler. That's kind of what I'm thinking about. As far as the sideboard goes, I made some slight adjustments here, but the core of this deck is still intact. Some of the numbers are a little strange, like we are a 2 days deck, we are a 2 stifle deck. A lot of times you see legacy decks maxing out on cards in the main deck, and then the sideboard is largely played as singleton utility cards that you can dig to with cantrips. But this deck is trying to do a handful of different things, so we have some removal, some counter spells, some alternative win conditions, and we'll just kind of see how it feels. And I am far behind schedule, so if you don't mind the fast deck check here, we're going to jump directly into some matches. And should you find that you need some cards, check out toamagic.com. Tales of Adventures is an awesome store. They support content creators like myself. If you are looking for Power 9, dual lands, eternal staples, this place has it. But they also have 95% of standard legal cards in stock at the same time. So check them out. Promo code ThrabenU. Let them know that I sent you. Let's battle. Okay, we have kind of a mid-opening hand here. I don't think it's worth throwing back or anything, but we're not doing anything fast. I know that I would like to either find... Yeah, sure, no, that's fine. We'll put the Ponder in my hand for now, and just not expose either one of these to a grief early on. Let's go bam, bam, bam. No, pass the turn. We have a relatively long pause from my opponent here, maybe indicating that they are thinking about a combo line. All right, we are finally getting something. Chalice on 1 is very good against my deck. So Brainstorm and Ponder are both dead, as is the Phyrexian Dreadnought on top of my deck. So this is annoying. I've kind of given my opponent the friendly play faster poke, please. Sure, that's fine. My dress down is going to be quite good against those Urza Saga Construct tokens. Little misplay on my end because I wasn't 100% dialed in because I was bored and watching TikToks while waiting for my opponent. Is that I should have fetched away the Phyrexian Dreadnought that is currently on top of my library rather than drawing it. So my opponent will get their card. I'll draw the Dreadnought that I don't really want. Go ahead and play this Cryptic Code out. And I'm more than fine funneling mana into this over the next few turns. The hope here is that my opponent doesn't do anything too broken. Like I can beat Urza Saga Construct tokens. Sure. Okay, we've got an Urza Saga Construct token at sorcery speed. Another Ancient Tomb. A Metamorph. Or just another Construct token. This is totally fine. I'm going to eat all of these with a single dress down. So that is quite good. I am going to filter through this now. This is a total of 5, so I can't do it this turn. I only have like 2 or 3 red cards. I'm going to go ahead and just get Hedge Maze. I don't really want that. So my creature is unblockable, so I'm going to crash in for 3 points of damage here. My opponent's going to make their last Urza Saga Construct token. I'm going to dress down and kill all of these, and then hopefully just murder my opponent in short order. Shadow Spear's fine. Darksteel Citadel's fine. Now we'll go ahead and dress down, kill all these tokens. My opponent ends up wasting a lot of mana. And this Cryptic Coat is just going to kill my opponent. Alright, they've got some other stuff going on. Nope, they don't. A Patchwork Automaton. Okay, so I can immediately hit my opponent for 3 and get Uro going. 4 cards in graveyard for the purposes of Uro. Or I can just play and bounce Cryptic Coat after attacking for 3. So I'm always doing the attack for 3, so let's get that out of the way. My opponent's at 2, which realistically means that they are at 4. If I want to end the game, the answer is just cast Cryptic Coat. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and Uro can be my fallback plan for if that does not work. And these are just cloaked lands. That's an artifact land. That's not a spell that's growing Patchwork Automaton. So Shadow Spear is 2 power. My opponent can attack, go to 4. I have 5 on board, so they need to do something more than just that here. So this is a 2/2 lifelinker. I could block. That gives my opponent another turn, in theory. I'm just going to let them keep their creature and kill them, unless they play another blocker. And they concede. Yep. That's perfectly fine. So we are playing against Artifact.deck. I would like these copies of Force of Vigor, Rickle's Recall, Actively Good. I can consider some amount of anti-blue stuff. I don't know that I'm going to mess around with that. Like, this stuff is technically playable. I imagine that my counter spells are kind of mid. Urza Saga is a big thing that I have to worry about. Extra answers to Chalice of the Void, I guess, matter. Pithing Needle on Urza Saga is good. I do have my own Urza Saga to search those out. I don't really know that I want Force of Will. Kind of nice for Chalice specifically. I don't know, maybe I don't have enough removal in my deck to cut all of my Force of Wills. I'm going to cut something that's kind of slow. This lets me keep some Force of Wills. I think I will go down a Phyrexian Dreadnought, try something like this. I have very few green cards for Force of Vigor. I happen to have one. I'm not even sure that this hand is good, despite the fact that it has 2 very pointed sideboard cards. I'm still going to keep it, but I am not sure that this hand is going to actually accomplish anything. That's interesting. Wow. I don't think I am going to just Force of Vigor this land. I think I'm just going to recall the tokens when everything is said and done. There's my own Urza Saga. I'm going to intend on using Hercules this turn. You can have your stuff. Now this is going to tick up. Opponent is floating mana instead. Shadow Spear is fine. Another Ancient Tomb and a Nettle Cyst. That's fine, that can resolve. I'll take the Tempo's play of just Hurkling all of this stuff back to hand. My opponent could be doing more things. They're not equipping the Shadow Spear. This is fine. I think I'll save the 3 life. Fantastic. My opponent does replay the Shadow Spear. That's fine. You may absolutely do so. Edge Maze or Urza Saga. If I'm willing to use Uro, I can just do both. I think I will do both. Ooh, no, I can't. Weird colors. That's fine. I think I would have gotten this going anyway. Sure. I can just take another Tempo Hurkyl's Recall. I don't think I'm going to Force of Will that. A Shadow Spear equip. I can do the Tempo, bounce your 3 artifacts, and then start making my own Urza Saga stuff. Once they redo it, I Force of Vigor it. I think I am fine with that line. And we do the Hurkyl's Recall now, as I want to commit mana to Urza Saga, and this also forces my opponent to discard. Discarding a Metamorph. I have a Phyrexian Dreadnought. I don't have anything to pair with that currently. Not super interested in that land. We'll just call it a turn. And the hope is that my opponent just dies in a single combat step. Depends on how much mana they funnel into Ancient Tomb. I'm just going to 0 to death my opponent with a single Urza Saga here. I've got 2 free pitch spells backing this up. So there's the seat. My opponent might just be passing the turn. I have a Force of Will available if my opponent goes for something like a Hurkyl's Recall of their own. So yeah. So these are 2/2s. These are 3/3s. Go for the equip on the one that can't attack. That's 8. There is a Hurkyl's Recall, so we'll go ahead and Force of Will, pitching a Ponder. This now gets online. I am attacking for 7 points of damage here, which shuts off both of these Ancient Tombs, and I imagine that's that. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and honestly, they're just the best at what they do. If you need to keep your deck lists online, this is the way to do it. They have all sorts of different viewing options. You can condense that text if you like things to be tight. You can make them visual grids. You can put them in stacks. You've got all sorts of different ways to kind of view and visualize your deck lists. And they also have some really cool functionality, like allowing you to see playtest hands and even fully playtest your decks. So check them out. All right, my opponent has revealed a Yorion Companion. Could be a Death and Taxes deck, could be some blue mid-range pile. I think my turn 1 and 2 are below average. Uro putting in Urza Saga is fine. I think I'm going to keep this, use Misty Rainforest on turn 1 to get Hedge Maze, put an extra card in my graveyard basically no matter what for Uro purposes. Opponent has said hello to YouTube and taken a mulligan. And now they're good to go. Vaguely D&T vibes. Do I care about losing the Brainstorm? I don't think I care. I think it's an extra card in graveyard for Uro. Yep. I think I'm still going to go for the Hedge Maze, despite the fact that Wasteland is a thing. Dress Down. Dress Down is cool with Phyrexian Dreadnought stuff. I don't think Phyrexian Dreadnought is particularly good against my opponent's deck, assuming that they are doing some sort of Yorion D&T nonsense. Stifle's fine. Stifle's good against a Wasteland. I think I'm just going to get Urza Saga going. Call it a turn. So it looks like black-white D&T. This is fine. Another Uro is not really what I'm looking for. We're going to make the land drop, pass the turn, and on my turn, I'm going to have to decide whether or not I am more interested in another Urza Saga token or a 12/12. And that decision is closer than you might think, because my opponent has a bunch of exile-based removal. And all those like Flicker Wisp type value creatures that can just go and take out my 12/12 without really blinking are a little scary. My opponent is now down to 3 cards in hand. The easiest way to win is just steal a game with a 12/12 here. So I think I am going to go that route. I'm just debating if that is via Dress Down or Stifle. If I do Dress Down, it's more mana efficient. Dress Down has some other neat utility later. I think I am going to go ahead and just do 3 mana for the Dress Down. Yeah, sure, you can Surveil. An Optic Scarab Swarm goes to the yard. So Orcish Bowmasters loses its ability, meaning that I can successfully draw my card. I will put the Phyrexian Dreadnought into play, notice that its ability doesn't trigger, and now we'll go ahead and get Urza's Saga going again, and I'll pass the turn with the intention of cycling Lorien Revealed. We'll see if my opponent has a Swords to Plowshare, Solitude, Flicker Wisp, anything of that nature to mess with my Phyrexian Dreadnought. I will Island Cycle in response to that. I'm picking up another Trop. I'll lose a Stifle, as I imagine my opponent does not want to place one of my Uros directly into my graveyard. That seems quite helpful for me. And my opponent is at 12. Multiple Thoughtseizes and fetches on their end. Means that this Dreadnought does not have to go very far to kill my opponent. My opponent says, well, these Thoughtseizes have been real tough, not sure what to take. That's unfortunate. So this time around, like you probably don't want to put an Uro into the graveyard, even though my mana is currently not the best at deploying Uro. And the first one, I believe it was correct to take the Brainstorm. So Zitical, I think you have handled this just fine. So my Urza Saga, in theory, is going to be fine against these onboard creatures. I might even want to just make an Urza Saga token right now and block the Bowmaster if my opponent attacks with it, and they do not attack with it, which is very understandable. Since they gave me 12 life with Solitude, I don't think I have to be in a rush to do anything else here. There's a Yorion to hand. Let's make some Construct tokens. A Triome. I think I'm just going to go ahead and keep making critters. I think it's Swift Spear Boots now. Don't have a Stifle. Or sorry, Lava Spur Boots. So we'll put the Triome into play. I'll equip this one, and now I decide whether or not I'm the beatdown. I think I am. I've played a land. I've played a land. Like, my opponent's just on a 2-turn clock. I am going to hit them. And they're going to go ahead and take that damage. Okay, my opponent is leaving some blockers back. That maybe means that they are not just going to immediately slam Yorion because they don't have the next land drop. So if my opponent has Swords to Plowshares and they Swords to Plowshares this becomes a 2/2 and can be junked by Thalia in a way that's not the best for me. I don't think I want to play out an Uro pre-combat, though. I think I am going to be walking into potential removal here. That always attacks. Am I sending in this one as well? Because a 2/2 blocker still does good against this stuff. I think I am going to send in both. Okay, this is fine. Are there tricks? It does not appear that there are tricks. So I just go ahead and trade well here. Make this as a land drop. I believe it is worth letting my opponent do their thing with Orcish Bowmasters to draw an additional card here and threaten the Uro further. Yeah, sure. I'll take an extra land drop because my Uro can have haste next turn, which is a really big deal. We will go ahead and move these boots around. Call it a turn. I would love to draw a Lightning Bolt or a Dress Down or a Stifle here. That's fine. My opponent really doesn't want to block with the Bowmasters, so that makes sense. I've already used my 1 Hedge Maze. Urza Saga is fantastic. That gives me a solid way to work on ending this game. Let's put that into play. And I'm okay doing this. Green, green, blue, blue. Nuke 5 cards from graveyard. I don't believe it matters here at all. So we'll go ahead and just kind of get my card advantage here. I will not put a land onto the battlefield. I get pinged. Gets bigger. Lava Spur Boots. Go over to Uro. I am fine crashing in with Uro. Not going to put a land onto the battlefield. I also wasn't interested in cycling with Lorien revealed, just before you come after me in the comments. That's a draw 3. And I would like to use it as such. There's the Orc jump block. So now we have a somewhat protected Uro and a decent spread of other effects. My opponent's got a Yorion coming, so they can potentially try to throw enough stuff in front of the Uro to multi-block it and kill it. There's a land drop. And nothing else. 1, 2, activate. Urza Saga, 1, 2, 3, 4. Minsc Boo, do stuff. Seems good. There's a Pithing Needle. That is a fine and reasonable card. Oh, I need one more for this. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 5. I can maybe do this post-combat and just throw something at my opponents. I can also just do this pre-combat and throw something at this directly. It gets a little weird if Swords to Plowshares gets involved. I think I'm just going to assume that I win this game and just continue to pressure my opponent's resources. So let's go bam, bam for a Pithing Needle. We're just going to shut off Wasteland. Going to Lava Spur Boots on this other construct token, so this construct token can attack. And the hope here is that this attack just Plague wins my opponent. I think given that I want to activate Urza's Saga and do Minsc Boo next turn, I am going to Island Cycle this now. Pick up yet another Trop. Solitude is totally fine. I lose a Construct token. Put a Trop into play. This allows me to Force of Will should I need to. My opponent can ping and pay with Ward, which is perfectly fine. Now we've got a Chump, and this Thalia is going to do Thalia stuff. My opponent's got a Solitude in play that can gain them some life. I'm not too worried about that. I'm going to Force of Will the Yorion that I know is coming. And then I imagine that my opponent's dead. Okay, they're going to leave back a blocker so they don't immediately die. They're at 6. Force of Will, paying 1, junking an Uro. So now I imagine that I'm good. So 1, 2, 3. This can be a 4/4 easily. What is this? My opponent is just at 6 life as 1 card. They can't Swords to Plowshares this turn. I know that's safe. So that's perfectly fine and good. Let's go ahead and just make a construct token. Search up. I'm not interested in taking a Dreadnought out of my deck here. We'll go ahead and do this. And opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes. I maybe could have killed my opponent last turn. It seemed like this was safe enough. Torpor Orb seems sweet. Lightning Bolt seems sweet. Force of Vigor is playable, but maybe doesn't answer all of the problems. Hurkyl's Recall, same thing. Brazen Borrower seems sweet. I don't think I want to daze against a potential mana denial deck. I think that's going to go ahead and go. It seems like my endgame is really good. I might keep Force of Will in my deck to just keep my opponent from getting too far ahead in the early game. My blue count is very high in this deck. If I had alternative win conditions in the sideboard, I would consider like going down on Phyrexian Dreadnought quite a bit. It's just not the most reliable, but I don't. I'll probably call this good. I could Pyroblast Red Elemental Blast for Yorion. I think that's probably worse than Force of Will. I'm going to go down 1 Force of Will. I'll play 3 of them. I wasted a lot of time in game 1, though. Reluctant keep. I'm not the best versus Wasteland here. Like, I can very specifically ponder to help set up versus a Wasteland or hold up Stifle for Wasteland. Torpor Orb's a really strong card in this matchup. I'm going to ponder for a land rather than hold up Stifle immediately. Hey, lands. Also Wasteland protection. I think that Pithing Needle just goes as far down as possible. I think you can make an argument that Forest and Urza Saga could go in the other order. Thalia's fine. I will Lightning Bolt Thalia. I'm just going to do that at sorcery speed so that Karakas does not bite me in the butt. Also, weird things like Ephemerate are seeing some amount of legacy play right now. Sweet. We did not get wastelanded in these early turns. That matters a lot. I am always doing this, and then I think I am just torpor orbing while holding up Stifle, and I will 100% just Stifle this Prismatic Vista. Just take that as a tempo positive play on my end. Potentially keep my opponent from putting some 3-drop flash creature into play. Alright, they got a Bowmaster into play. That's fine. Hopefully my Urza Saga just kind of deals with that. With a Torpor Orb in play, this Urza Saga also now represents a Phyrexian Dreadnought, just a 12/12. Are there more lands? There is a Lion Sash. That's a thing that I could Pithing Needle. Perfectly happy with another land drop here. So, what is the line? I think I'm okay with just Pithing Needling the Lion Sash right now. Like, Wasteland was conceptually what I wanted to do, but I don't really know that I want to mess around with my opponent just having the ability to continuously eat my graveyard. Council's Judgment. Well, it's resolving. I imagine taking out the Torpor Orb. Torpor Orb, 1 vote. Torpor Orb, 2 votes. My opponent does not attack. I will do my thing here. We'll put this search one on bottom. This ticks up. So I am fine making my token, searching for a Phyrexian Dreadnought, and stifling my trigger to keep the 12/12. Now we'll crack in for 4. I have become the beatdown here. My opponent is probably priced into wastelanding this Urza Saga so that they don't risk me doing that again. The Construct token is also just real bad here. Folly is fine. I get wastelanded. Solitude is great. If I lose my 12/12, I am at 29 life. I have a pair of 3/3s that are about to be a pair of 4/4s. I think I am still the beatdown here. So let's go Boots. Equip Boots. Send them in. And we're just going to try to be the beatdown here. Opponent takes it all. Bowmaster comes on in. I have a dress down that I can use as a combat trick if something like First Strike seems like it's going to be relevant. So let's bash in with these creatures, kind of see what happens. Again, Lion Sash's ability is currently not online. That's a weird block. Why is my opponent doing that? Another Bowmasters? Probably another Bowmasters, in which case I will cast Dress Down in response to that. Hello. Oh fuck, it's my own Urza Saga tokens. I just punted this game so badly. That went from unlosable to terrible in an instant. Okay. Alright, can't be mad about it, just gotta play better. I still think I am pretty likely to just like cast a Minsc Boo and kill my opponent at some point this game. Like, I don't know that I am even like not favored. End of opponent's turn, dress down into Phyrexian Dreadnought, haste, still kill. I need to dodge like a wasteland on one of these because my dress down costs 3 mana. Raucous is fine. Take a little bit of combat damage. I'm still at 16, like I'm doing okay. I can't dress down right now, so that resolves. My opponent needs Solitude plus white card, I think. Took Skyclave Apparition. You're not going to get another turn, friend. Is the remaining card in your hand a Solitude? If it's not, you feel dead. This has Trample. This gives it haste. Oh, wait, hold on. Dress down is weird here, isn't it? So I do 1 mana. It loses its abilities, which includes Trample. I can give it the haste so that it can attack. While Bowmasters is not online, I think I'm going to do 2 mana Brainstorm. Or I guess it's 1 mana Brainstorm. Yeah, while Bowmasters is not online, let's do a 1 mana Brainstorm. Have I played a land? I have played a land. Unfortunate. Let's put back Uro here. Boots this. This gives me a Recruiter chump block plus potential protection against the Skyclave apparition. Alright, goodbye, Recruiter. Alright, Dress Down gets junked. Abilities are back online. That allows my opponent to get rid of Phyrexian Dreadnought. And I did not have the ability to leave up a Dress Down as well to stop this. Opponent pays. Bunch of damage comes in, putting me to 10. I'll fetch to 9 here. Do Hedge Maze. Get a little extra selection here. Not interested in a Ponder, it's just slow. Got a Ponder anyway. So I can Minsc Boo at 5 mana. I'll be at 8. I attack in with a 4/4. My opponent does not block, goes to 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's Xaxes. Don't have the extra mana to equip Lava Spur Boots. Does that mean I am pondering? It seems like it. Yeah, I think I punted this game. Don't love this either. I think I need to leave the mana up. It's 3 mana to Dress Down. Dreadnought doesn't work. This doesn't work. I will shuffle. Urza's not going to do it. I think at this point I have lost. I am going to go ahead and concede and save some clock for the next game, I think. But I punted that game. That was not one that I should have lost. That's fine. This is a hand where I might die instantly to my own Brainstorm. I think I'm going to keep it anyway. I might just Hedge Maze on turn 1 rather than Brainstorm. My ideal is turn 2 Torpor Orb into turn 3 Dreadnought plus remove some other relevant creature with Lightning Bolt. And I just decide immediately whether or not I'm willing to Brainstorm Lock myself. I think I am willing to Brainstorm Lock myself, because the Brainstorms aren't great later on due to Orcish Bowmasters anyway. I think I'm going to go Trop rather than Volk here, because I have fewer copies of Volk and less red mana overall. I'm not ready for Minsc Boo. I think my hand's perfectly fine. I think I'm just going to get rid of Brainstorm. I'll redraw it, in fact. Now we'll Misty, go for Volk, and slam the early Torpor Orb. It's very likely that I'm going to get to Phyrexian Dreadnought next turn. That's fine. Ooh, no additional lands from my opponent. And booties. Booties are great. Let's do this while Bowmasters is not involved in the equation at all. Uro next turn's pretty good. I'll put back Ponder and maybe Lorien Revealed? Put back Ponder, Lorien Revealed. Scalding Tarn, fetch. Get another tropical island. Drop the Dreadnought. Drop the Boots. I'm a little unsure about like Boots versus double Lightning Bolt. Like I've got Solitudes to think about. I guess Solitudes don't have, or sorry, like Solitude's ability isn't working, so I guess it's like actual factual Swords to Plowshares. If I don't play Boots and I Lorien Revealed, it's easier for me to go Uro haste attack next turn. Let's just go ahead and drop this though. Don't have the 4th land to do this, which was one of the reasons to keep Lorien Revealed, but I think keeping multiple Lightning Bolts is going to make sense. Solitude comes in end of turn, just as a 3/2. Makes perfect sense if my opponent can remove my Uro, and they can. So they can start gaining life with this Solitude. I'll get rid of it with Lightning Bolt, and I can cantrip my way towards another Dreadnought or whatever. So we're going to start this turn with a Ponder. My opponent might flash in a Bowmasters. That does not happen. I am okay grabbing another Ponder. Casting a Ponder. Shuffle that. Make a land drop. Pass the turn. See if something scarier comes in at end of turn. Otherwise, I have the intention of removing the Solitude. Let's see what this is. There's a Stoneforge Mystic with no ability, so while this is tapped, I'm going to go ahead and just remove the lifelinker. And it gives away a little information, but I'm going to F6 my opponent's turn. My clock is starting to be a concern. File stays at 2. Oh no, opponent just naturally had a piece of equipment. That's a tilt. Cauldra is tough to remove for my deck. Hopefully I can just end up winning through it in a way where it doesn't matter. Cryptic Coat. That's a Force of Will. I think I'm just going to go ahead and equip and swing on in. Ultimately, I think I am racing my opponent's Cauldra. I get this first attack step here. I am at a higher life total. I have a couple of lightning bolts that can go to my opponent's dome directly. But, you know, my opponent is going to have a bunch of creatures in their deck that can swing this. I think that Cauldra might have saved them. All right, they are leaving the Bowmasters back. So I'm going to go ahead and do my attack here. And then I will probably be using 5 mana to just do another Cryptic Coat thing. My opponent didn't attack with Bowmasters, I guess, to do some Lava Spur Boots things. So let's go bounce and play. Cloaked a Dress down. More creatures. It starts getting scarier if my opponent puts in a 3-power thing. Lava Spur Boots, very threatening for my opponent. I have 6 potential power. That I probably need to Lightning Bolt. Yeah, I'll take that damage. I can Cryptic Coat my way through all of these blockers. So we can go... let's fetch another Volk here. Oh, I don't have another Volk. Let's fetch one of these. Am I killing Mom? I don't have a lot of time to think. I think no. I think I'm just double bolting my opponent next turn and going for a kill. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. So let's just bounce, redeploy, Brazen Borrower. That's interesting. Equip. So goal is 4 damage, 6 damage for exactly 14. That's the plan. If opponent ticks this up to 5 and has 3rd land, things can get a little weird. I am A-okay just trading here. Yeah, that's fine. This is a colorless thing. And then Skyclave triggers, but does not do anything. So we're going to go ahead and attempt 4 damage. Opponent goes to 6, at which point I'll pass the turn, and I'll do my cool thing in their upkeep, or right here. So 3 at your face, 3 at your face. The out is like Swords to Plowshares, one of your own things. We have gotten the GGs from the opponent. They said well played. I don't know. I think I made some pretty bad errors in that one and managed to salvage it. All right, we have gotten paired against another Yorion deck here. Phyrexian Dreadnought. I, in theory, want one of those. I don't have the other piece right now. I'm kind of into Daze. I'm kind of into Hedge Maze. I'm going to bury Phyrexian Dreadnought a couple of cards down and just go ahead and keep all of this. And then I'll pass the turn. Ooh. Please don't be Yorion D&T again. It's Yorion D&T again. All right. So we're in for a slog. Am I fine hedge mazing? No. I think I'm just not immediately going to use my mana and just cycle Lorien Revealed for another land. I could also end up pitching that Force of Will. A new Thoughtseize. Okay. I lose the Ponder. My opponent has a Mother of Runes. That's kind of awkward. I'm not well equipped to deal with this right now. I don't have a cantrip to find a bolt. I think I need to Force of Will that so my opponent's stuff isn't protected forever. And then we'll just kind of hope that my deck gets to do cool end game card advantage stuff. And since I can't fetch this out, we'll Surveil now. Not looking great here. Okay, my opponent's got a Stoneforge Mystic, and it is resolving. I don't have a lot of gas in the tank here, so this is happening. It looks like I'm probably going to need to win games 2 and 3 here. My opponent's got a 4-turn clock. I don't have anything of note going. And even if I do get Phyrexian Dreadnought into play, my opponent can kind of hold back the Cauldra. And that's maybe just good enough to beat me. Grab the tri-land here. Not looking good. I maybe should have just put a fetch into play to make cantrips better. I'm a little worried that if I just cast a cantrip, I'm going to eat up Bowmasters. A Flicker Wisp, Blink Stoneforge, maybe picking up something like a Lion Sash. See what they find. Batter Skull. Sure. This Brainstorm's got to do some serious fucking work. I can Lightning Bolt, kill one of these, take 5. That's not really getting me anywhere. I can put a Phyrexian Dreadnought into play, but the first strike damage that just exiles the creature isn't great for me. I think at this point, I am just going to go ahead and concede. I can cast another Brainstorm and try to get a few cards deeper, but I don't even know what I would be trying to accomplish. So, Torpor Orb, good. Lightning Bolt, good. Brazen Borrower, good. I think I junked Dazes before and trimmed 1 Force of Will. I've kind of seen that Kaldra is a bit of a problem. Force of Vigor does not destroy Kaldra, as it is indestructible. I could do something like a Hurkyl's Recall to help with that. I'm not really all that convinced that that card is going to be good. The Stoneforge Mystic is putting it in play, and I don't answer the Stoneforge Mystic. It's still an issue. This is a mid-opening hand that I think I am just going to keep. And let's start trying to make a plan. This is just more land, so I don't get wastelanded out of the game. I think I'm going to try for better than this. Minsc Boo is probably worse than those other cards on average. And Aether Vial. I am going to say no to that. I think pitching the Uro. I think I'm pretty far away from Uro here. Dress Down Urza Saga is a thing. Maybe a good thing, maybe a bad thing. Why, though? Why are we surgically extracting Force of Will? I don't understand. Also with that timing. Maybe there's a reason for it, but I don't know. I had a surgical. I think I always want this to be a land. I'm going to convert this into like a volcanic island here, and my opponent can have their pick of Dress Down or Minsc Boo. Like, I valued Force of Will so low that I took some out of my deck, and my opponent valued it highly enough that they surgicaled it. A weird draw. I think I'm going to hold this red source and just get another Trop here. Just fetch around something weird like an opposition agent. The hope is that I make some construct tokens, but things could definitely change. Oh, there's the opposition agent that I just played around. Okay, so this is going to like kind of work. It works if you squint sideways at it. So we're going to go ahead and go play Dress Down. This shuts off the ability of opposition agent. That's good. That's good. So we will get a Phyrexian Dreadnought. I will play a Phyrexian Dreadnought with that floating mana. While opposition agent's ability is turned off, I will go ahead and fetch Will Hedge Maze here. Seiju I don't think is necessary. We'll just graveyard that. And now we can go ahead and sacrifice this Dress Down. I can play a new one in response to something bad, like a Skyclave Apparition hitting the stack or whatever. Yeah, that's fine. Now we'll just bam, draw an Uro. That's a perfectly reasonable draw. Kind of fizzle this trigger, make it so that they can't go and get a Skyclave. And I'm going to attack my opponent for 24. So they need a Solitude. They do not have a Solitude. So those were kind of landslide games in either direction. Do I want an extra Force of Will on the draw? I think I'm okay with an extra Force of Will on the draw here. I'm really good at drawing this one copy of Torpor Orb. That's what I have to say. Let's see if we get Thought Seized. It is an Aether Vial instead. So I guess I'm going to Pithing Needle that on turn 1 and hope that I don't get wastelanded. I think that's my plan. Like, I could just Lorien Revealed this turn or Brainstorm this turn to make it so that I hit my land drop a higher portion of the time. And maybe that is just correct to do. Sorcery Speed Bowmasters, that's perfectly fine. So now we're going to go ahead and just cycle Lorien Revealed. I'm going to pick up Hedge Maze, I think. And Hedge Maze, bottoming or graveyarding anything that is a non-land card. Because, like, I very much know that I want land. There's a land drop from my opponent. I'll eat a little bit of damage here. Hopefully I don't fall behind too much. I think I am going to go ahead and just play this card. Yeah, that's fine. I had the read on that already. So now I am hoping to just not die to the clunkiness of my deck, because this deck has a relatively high average converted mana cost. I'm taking 5 damage per turn cycle. My fetch lands aren't the best right now. We can just Phyrexian Dreadnought. That's cool with me. I think I'm just going to play it now. Like, if I eat swords, I eat swords, and that buys me a decent amount of time. And I do eat swords. I would love to just draw another land to, like, dress down and then brainstorm, or dress down and then fetch or whatever. Hitting Lightning Bolt would also be kind of cool. Yeah, I don't have a Force of Will or any removal here. I might just get overrun. I stopped the vial. That wasn't enough. I can Brazen Borrower to gain 4 life. I probably can't Brazen Borrower to get Orcish Bowmasters out of play in a meaningful way. I think I'm just gaining 4 life using Petty Theft. The Yorion is still threatening, despite its ability being shut off. This doesn't feel good. Like, I would much prefer to do this at a time where I have Force of Will set up afterwards. But I sure don't have that set up here. I hit Lorien Revealed. Not good. Oh, fuck, I forgot about Opposition Agent. I'm dead. I am going to go ahead and concede here. Yeah, so I just got pinched on mana. Maybe I can Brainstorm on turn 1 instead of playing the Pithing Needle on turn 1. My opponent didn't have that many creatures in the grand scheme of things. The Vial didn't matter, but I could not have known that at the time. I don't know, maybe I go for the turn 1 Brainstorm, turn 2 Shuffle with Lorien Revealed, don't play Torpor Orb early. I don't know, maybe I navigated that one wrong. Okay, opening hand is fine but not exciting. We've got a handful of cantrips and we can sculpt towards something. I'm not so excited about the hand because I'm not really good against anything, right? Like, I have flexibility, but I feel like being on the draw here, I'm going to be a little bit behind curve all game. That is fine. That is happening. We might be playing against something in the Maverick general ballpark. I don't think I'm interested in those. Yeah. So, like, I would like to make a Phyrexian Dreadnought and preferably still have Force of Will to protect it. That sucks for me. Given that I am about to lose a land drop here, I think this is Force of Will. I think I'm going to pitch Uro and try to use the cantrips to string together something with Phyrexian Dreadnought that can quickly get me a win. Phyrexian Dreadnought's cousin, Phyrexian Dreadnought. Not being able to ponder or brainstorm this turn is kind of a big deal, because my opponent now has a window where they can do something like put an Orcish Bowmaster into play. And I would be sad if that happened. Ah, fuck, that's also very good. I don't have that much removal in my deck, and the removal that I do have might get phased out relatively quickly. Okay. I think I am just pondering this turn. That's a bunch of land. Am I willing to take 2 land? I don't think so. Try to high roll there. I'm playing this land, and I am sitting here thinking about what I want to Pithing Needle. Scavenging Ooze means that I never Uro. Elvish Reclaimer means that my opponent can Gaia's Cradle. I think I'm pretty likely to take a large beating from my opponent's creatures. I think I'm going to shut off Scavenging Ooze here and try to navigate this game with Elvish Reclaimer in play. Yeah, that's fair. That was at least supposed to eat up some mana and be a one-time thing. I'm going to take 3 from this attack due to the Exalted. And just more mana. Don't Orcish Bowmaster me, please. This sure feels like the pause of someone who has Orcish Bowmasters in hand and they're debating if they even want to do it. Okay, that's not good. I'm going to put back Hedge Maze and 1 Minsc Boo with the intention of end of my opponent's turn surveilling with Hedge Maze to try to work on this graveyard situation. I think the way that I potentially win this is draw Dress Down next turn, Dress Down, double Phyrexian Dreadnought. Opponent is potentially just going for a combo kill here. So 2 mana, activate 4 Dark Depths. 2 mana, activate 2 copy. I have a 20/20 in my future. So, need something that disrupts that. Phyrexian Dreadnought is not it. I'm just dead if my opponent goes for it here, which I think they would. I'm okay conceding and not showing my opponent more cards. We drew a whole lot of Phyrexian Dreadnoughts. I'm definitely feeling my lack of game 1 removal. So we're going to do this and this. And then I have some like medium stuff like Soul Guide Lantern that I can do. I might need the Soul Guide Lantern, not because it's particularly strong, but because my removal is red. And as soon as things are 4 toughness, I have a terrible time actually answering them. I don't think my Uros are great. They are maybe the way that I have to win the game, but Bowmasters is good against them, Bojuka Bog is fine against them, Scavenging Ooze is good against them. I'm going to trim a couple of Uros. I don't think I'm going to mess around with Soul Guide Lantern. I'm not super optimistic about how this matchup feels. Sure. I am probably pondering 4 more mana. Alright, let's find said mana. So I am definitely in for another ponder. The Phyrexian Dreadnought here probably just goes on bottom. And this guarantees our next land drop. And next turn I can do something like cantrip into Lightning Bolt, the creature that my opponent plays on turn 1, assuming that it is a creature, which feels pretty likely to me. Yeah, that's fine. I do have to decide whether or not that is worth a removal spell, though. I can brainstorm first and then make that decision, I suppose. I think I'm going to keep Lorien Revealed with the intention of pitching that to Force of Will. I think I'm going to send an Uro back into the deck and a Brainstorm since that one. Oh, no. I don't have untapped red off of this, do I? Okay. Well, that's a deck building issue, I think. Let's do a Hedge Maze then, I suppose. Okay. So, we'll see how bad it is that I left this alive. There was question of whether or not it was correct to remove that card in the first place. Because I would love to just use a Lightning Bolt on a Fiend Artisan style card instead. Opponent's thinking about something after dropping this land. Bowmasters. I think I will just Lightning Bolt that card. I think that's fine. 18. Now we'll drop Lightning Bolt on the Bowmasters immediately. I can go ahead and ponder. Urza Saga guarantees me Minsc Boo next turn. So I think I'll say that's okay. Now I've got some flexibility for what I pitch to Force of Will. And my opponent surveils. We used to often see end of turn Dryad Arbor from these sorts of decks, but this is a different play pattern. Scavenging Ooze. I have an Uro a couple of cards down. I think I'm okay with just forcing this card. Get rid of my Lorien Revealed. Sure. That's slightly scarier. While I know that my opponent's not doing anything else, I'm going to just cast this Brainstorm. Ooh, wait, no, Daze does not get that because of Noble Hierarch. Got it. Bury Dreadnought, put something like Minsc Boo on top. That happens. And I'll take a couple points of damage here. So, am I fine with just Minsc Boo plus? Probably. So we will go ahead and make a 4/4, pass the turn defensively. My Daze isn't great right now. My Uro isn't great right now. My opponent has active Fiend Artisan, which can... Fuck. Fuck. Oh, what a disaster. This is a legendary hamster. No. Knight resolves. Opponent's going for the Fiend Artisan activation. I was not expecting. Not this turn. Like, I was expecting that this was going to activate and get a Grist probably next turn. I thought it was just going to be Caracas, Bounce Boo, attack in for 4, kill Minsc Boo. Renegade Rallier. Sure. On Bowmasters. Got it. Okay. That gets pinged. Now this Caracas can still hit my creature here. Phyrexian Dreadnought happens. How am I grinding through all this shit? I can make an Urza Saga token minus Minsc Boo. My opponent can plus this in response. I can throw the 1/1 at something like Bowmasters. Take a billion D damage. I don't even think I win if I top deck something like a Dress Down. I think Fiend Artisan for Grist ends up powering through that. I think I'm going to go ahead and move to the next game here. Oh, right. I'm dead. All right. I've kept my hand here. I have a whole bunch of cantrips with which to sculpt my hand. I have a Force of Will. I have half of a combo already. This is a solid start, generically speaking. Stifle or Dress Down would be a fantastic thing to find. Hey, there it is. I'm going to bury Lava Spur Boots, put Dress Down on top, draw Ponder now. Opponent is a sicko and Cabal therapies me off Wooded Foothills and names Ponder in the dark. They can have all 3 of my Ponders. They will have earned it. Yeah, sure, that's fine. Seems like we're pretty likely to be playing like a pseudo control mirror. My opponent is also probably an Uro pile of some nature. And I think I am okay going for end of turn Dress Down into attempt Phyrexian Dreadnought with Force of Will backup. That seems okay. Oh! Well, this is going to be slightly different than what I expected. We are playing against Rhinos instead. So my opponent is going to cascade into Crashing Footfalls. And I will go ahead and Force of Will that. See if my opponent can fight back. I'll have to brainstorm if they do. Okay, I can hit one of my remaining Force of Wills or a Daze here. That would do it as well. Negative. Put back Boots. Put back Uro. And now I'm going to go ahead and fetch a Hedge Maze. Third land lets me Dress Down into Phyrexian Dreadnought immediately, which helps stabilize the board. While I would love to double Dreadnought, I don't think I get that luxury here. I think I just have to play the 1 so that the Rhinos can't immediately burst in. So, Dress Down. Urza Saga is fine. So I really do a lot in stabilizing my board by playing this Phyrexian Dreadnought, and then I can work on pondering or something afterwards. Fuck! That's so many goddamn Rhinos. Stop it. Aren't they endangered or something? They just need to hang out and be friends with other Rhinos in places that aren't here, in captivity. Why are you locking your Rhinos on Magic Online? Life got real tough. I think I'm just going to shuffle this. Bro? Block 1 Rhino, get attacked for 4, 6, 10, 14, 16? Is this good enough? Maybe with Urza Saga? So let's red mana. Drop Uro. Draw a card. I guess next turn it's better for me to escape. Escape gains me 3 more life and gives another block. Yeah, let's just put this into play then. I think I'm going to keep digging with Ponder as well. Dress Down Phyrexian Dreadnought is an okay thing. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Okay, we're chilling. I haven't mathed this out perfectly because it's really hard to do all the math while talking. Fuck. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Dead. Okay. So I've got to stop some rhinos. And you know what does not kill a rhino? Lightning bolt. That's a problem. I can Force of Negation rhinos a lot of the time. I can Flusterstorm rhinos some of the time. I could play Pyroblasts, Hydroblasts sorts of cards for some of the other alternative threats that this deck plays. You know, the Minsc Boos, the Murktide Regents, that sort of stuff. I could surgically extract rhinos. My lightning bolts aren't doing me a lot of favors. Those are going to go. My Pithing Needle sometimes matters for Minsc Boo, but I'm also a Minsc Boo gamer over here. I don't know that I'm the biggest fan of that. Stifle can do some work versus the Cascade triggers, but we address downs this game. Don't mind Cryptic Coat to help break up a stalemate. This is where I'm currently at, but I don't know that I'm settled on the fact that this is correct. My Minsc Boos feel pretty slow. I think I'm going to junk those, play one more surgical, play a Pyroblast. This doesn't do anything. We're going to go ahead and mulligan that. This also doesn't do anything, unfortunately. Without the ability to counter an initial spell, I would probably throw back Surgical Extraction. I think I am going to keep this. I think I'm going to put Lava Spur Boots back into my deck. I can imagine worlds where the Surgical becomes good. It's really hard to make the Lava Spur Boots good right now. Yes. So I draw Stifle, I hold up Stifle for a Cascade trigger, I surgically extract the rhinos afterwards, and that's one avenue of attack off for my opponent. There's a Dress Down on top of my library. I'm going to give myself the option to surveil that away, or maybe just fetch it away. This could just be a tapped tri-land here. I am going to fetch. How much does the red mana matter? Lightning bolts are not in my deck. I have a Pyroblast. I have one red card. I'm going to Hedge Maze then. Ponder. Ponder's okay. I'm going to say that that's an above average draw, because that's a redraw at any number of other cards. I think I am going to Uro here and use that as my way to get Stifle into, Island into play so that I can be holding up Stifle. A little awkward if my opponent Violent Outbursts right here while this is on the stack. Cool, dodged that bullet. Island to play. No end of turn Violent Outburst. Wastelands, whatever. 3 mana. It's an Endurance, sure. This is not how I was planning on using this Stifle, but it's absolutely what's happening. Oh? Are we fighting? Sure. So my graveyard gets nuked. Cryptic Coat. Not my preferred win condition, but it looks like it's what's happening. So I can go ahead and drop that while having Force of Will, pitching Dress Down, and then potentially Surgical Extraction to get rid of rhinos afterwards. That's a Force of Will. Do I force back? I don't think so. 4th land drop. Minsc Boo type cards can happen. Spirit Guide and DeLorean revealed. Okay. I don't think I can let my opponent draw 3 there. It just feels pretty bad. Don't super want this Surgical Extraction right now. In good news, if I can brainstorm into something that produces a Phyrexian Dreadnought immediately, it's likely to go the distance. Exhibit A. Go back 1 and 2. Cast Dress Down. Cast Phyrexian Dreadnought. Do I want to surgically extract something like Lorien Revealed? I don't think so. I think I'm just going to kind of stay the course here. I am fine just attacking in for 12, seeing if any nonsense happens. Nope, opponent's at 5. Let's see if I can do anything cool. Force of Will blue card is something cool. Pass turn. So that technically keeps my opponent alive, right? But I don't think it's worth Force of Willing, because worse things could be on the top of the deck. I think I am just going to hold this for if my opponent is about to produce 8 powers with the top decked Shardless Agent or whatever. So my opponent concedes. They're not technically dead, but 12, 4, 8, 12, it leaves them at 1, having chump blocked twice, and I'm at 17, so the concession makes sense. So now I know about a pile of endurances that are coming in to fight against my Uros and my graveyards. Lightning Bolt doesn't kill those. Brazen Borrowers can bounce them. That's not the best. I don't know that I'm changing much about my boarding. I think I'm whacking Submit. No. This has 1 land. That land doesn't cast Ponder. Absolute mulligan. Opponent keeps their 7. My hand's fine. I probably keep this and get rid of the Uro. That is likely to be clunky in the early game here. Ooh, a turn 1 play? Ah, that's fine. Which land? Which land? I think I want to represent Hedge Maze here. Hedge Maze a lot more awkward now. I might just want to end of turn Brainstorm to go through a card in my hand. I'm just going to confirm that I have Basic Island. I have 2 of them. Yeah, I think I am going to just use this opportunity to use my mana. I'm going to bury an Urza's Saga, and I'll redraw some other card. Now I want to hold up this basic for Stifle. I think to maximize Uro value, I'm going to do this for Hedge Maze, with the intention of probably putting the card into the graveyard. Yeah, that's fine. I'll pass the turn with Stifle available. I will stifle a Wasteland on my land. That's fine. I'm going to let that happen. Have some counter spells available for stuff. Looks like nothing's happening here. Nothing's happening during my upkeep either. Guess that's nice. This turn's kind of tough. I think I'm interested in working towards Uro still. Means getting a trop, doing this. Cool. Don't get wastelanded while I don't have Stifle up. That's nice. I'll go ahead and pass the turn here. I have Daze, Force of Will, Stifle, all available as varying layers of protection. There's Cascade. I will stifle that trigger. Maybe I should have dazed that one, actually. Gets got by a Spirit Guide, and like sometimes sets me back on mana. Sure. You're gonna get dazed now for doing this. You are gonna get dazed now for doing that way. You love to see it. So, daze, target you, bounce an island. Okay, there was a Spirit Guide. So I am going to Force of Will this. I think I am pitching Brainstorm and using Ponder for the most looks possible for something that gets me out of this. Surgical Extraction will not exactly do it, right? So we don't get to search Exile for that card. I can end of my opponent's turn dress down into make my own 12/12. I do also just have an Uro in my graveyard, and any green mana gets me to an Uro that probably just beats Crashing Footfalls anyway. I think I'm going to shuffle. Another Phyrexian Dreadnought. Not good. Worse than what I got rid of there with the shuffle. So my opponent gets their 4/4s. And now it's just kind of like, do I draw a green land to get Uro or anything that enables Phyrexian Dreadnought? I draw that mountain instead. I have a ton of hits, literal or effective ways of just kind of bricking this board. I can just die. That is possible. Oh, that's rough. That's enough. So Hull Breacher is going to prevent me from drawing that card. My opponent's going to get a treasure. There's 11 on board. That was my green land that I needed. We are dead, unfortunately. And we put up a medium 2-3 finish in this league. So, James, I don't think your deck was too bad. I guess the question I have at the end of the league is, why do we want to play this? Because there's some tension in the deck, right? So this is a 22 land deck that has 4 Urza Sagas that don't contribute to casting Uro. It also has a mountain that does not contribute to casting Uro. and a handful of other lands that can produce one of the pips, but not both. So this is a deck that wants blue, blue, green, green, while having colorless lands. And I don't know that Basic Mountain makes sense if there's only a handful of cards in the entire deck that do it. I did not feel like this was a deck that could operate on basic lands. And I think I only fetched a basic once or twice throughout the entire league. So I feel like the biggest tension is in the like Uro versus Urza Saga tension. And like Lava Spur Boots on Uro for hasty Uro is pretty cool, but is it worth it there? Unsure. I guess generally speaking, I liked the Phyrexian Dreadnought side of the deck, and I'm left wondering how much of this stuff fits. Minsc Boo seemed pretty bad. It was competing with Urza Saga activations a lot of times, which were just better. I have so little in the deck that the board was often not clear when Minsc Boo came down later on. Cryptic Coat was a cool thing to do when I had a bunch of mana. Is this better than anything else? I don't think I ever set up Phyrexian Dreadnought Cryptic Coat nonsense. I maybe didn't try for that as hard as I could have, but maybe I missed it throughout the league. But I think if I were to play this again, I would want more main deck removal. I would want to max out on lightning bolts, and then I would want to decide what do I want these other finishers to look like. And honestly, just stating the obvious, like why is the additional finisher not Murktide Regent? You know, Murktide Regent is a hell of a drug when you are on at least 8 cantrips to start with, and if we counter Lorien Reveals, like we are at 10 cantrips, plus a handful of other things that might hit the graveyard relatively quickly. Like maybe you just want to be Phyrexian Dreadnoughts, Murktide Regents backed by Daze Force of Will. I think that's very valid. So I guess, you know, why RUG? Why these things? You know, you could go into other colors for removals. You know, this just is like there's 4 red cards in the main deck, 7 in the 75. You could play white if you wanted Swords to Plowshares for more flexible removal. Although that works against the Phyrexian Dreadnoughts just cleanly killing in 2 hits, which is kind of a big deal. More generally, in terms of metagame positioning, I wonder if it's a good idea to be playing Phyrexian Dreadnought if you expect Swords to Plowshares to be on the rise. One of the things I kind of predicted after the Name Sticker Goblin banning is that many of these white Death and Taxes Maverick-style deck lists that had been pushed out of the format would start returning, and we would see more Swords to Plowshares, and playing Phyrexian Dreadnought into a world of expected Swords to Plowshares and Solitudes is a little spooky. So I'm going to give you the shaky thumbs up, James, but I think you've got some thinking in terms of retooling this for the metagame that we have now. And just full disclosure here for our audience, this is a deck list that was submitted prior to the Name Sticker Goblin ban. So, you know, just kind of keep that in mind. Folks, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. And should you find you need cards, TOAmagic.com, promo code ThrabenU, save you a bit on your order. Have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya.